What's good, Panther Nation? Welcome back to Two Fans in the Stands. I'm CJ.
And I'm Tony.
And welcome back to another episode of What If Wednesday, where we like to ask the simple question, what if? And these are decisions that the Panthers have made past, present decisions, and decisions further down the road in the future that we like to discuss. And every week we have a different topic. Um, Anything from who we should trade for to who we should sign, who we should pick up, things like that, stuff that we wish they wouldn't have done, and all kinds of scenarios. But this week is a little different, and we've been asking for suggestions from our viewers on things that they would like us to discuss. So, in last week's What If Wednesday, we had the topic where we were talking about if the Panthers should trade for Jalen Ramsey. And we got one comment from Zach Singletary, and he's talking about Jalen Ramsey in this. He said, definitely would be ecstatic to see this, but hate how much he think that it would impact our ability to trade up in this year's draft for a quarterback. He goes on to say, I'd be interested to hear y'all's thoughts on Hendon Hooker as a potential franchise guy for us if the big four don't make it to number 9 and if we don't trade up. And the big four being Stroud, Young, Levis, and Anthony Richardson. Okay. So first
Right.
of all, I want to say thank you to Zach for the comment. We really appreciate it. You are the first one who has responded and given us another idea to talk about. So on this episode of What If Wednesday, we are going to talk about what if the Panthers picked up Hendon Hooker, and
Okay.
it's kind of wild because in our mock draft Monday this week, he actually fell to us in the third round, and we picked him up. So
Yes, he did.
but Tony, what's your thought on this?
So my thought is I like Hendon Hooker.
Mm-hmm.
And as a second round or even a third round pick, I think it will be a great value pick. I will say this. If he would have never gotten hurt, if he went towards ACL, I think Hendon Hooker would easily would have been in the running for the Heisman Trophy. And I think Hendon Hooker arguably could be in first round contention. So with that scenario, I know there's a lot of people out there that is high up on Anthony Richardson and Will Levis and the talk of the town, right? Those two are the talk of the town, besides the obvious and CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. But if Hendon Hooker was available, I would select Hendon Hooker over Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So he has good size, dual threat quarterback. He's the one right here, that's from right here in North Carolina, went to Greensboro Deli High School, went to Virginia Tech, didn't do too good at Virginia Tech, transferred to Tennessee. And I don't want to put too much hype into Josh Heupel's offense at Tennessee and say that's the reason why he has turned his game around and put up the kind of numbers that he has his past 2 years in Tennessee, because his last year at Virginia Tech he put up pretty good numbers. I think he had a 65% completion rate, and each year since then it has gone up. The last 2 years at Tennessee, to me, in my opinion, I just didn't value him or see him as a top 10 first round pick. Not saying that he couldn't go in the first round. If he was to fall in the latter part of the first round, something like that, something outside of something in between pick 15 to pick 32, arguably you probably can make a case for it. But for me, as a top 10 pick, because I don't see him coming in and initially being a franchise quarterback right off the bat. I don't think he's a plug and play player. Even before the injury, I didn't think he was a plug and play player, but his value, his game was definitely deserved first round attention.
Do you see me looking at you on the screen right now?
Yeah.
You see that? I
Yeah.
disagree. I disagree. Now, this is me coming from the aspect of if Hendon Hooker would have not sustained that injury later on in the season, this past season, and we still had the number 9 pick. Now, mind you, I still believe that the big four is Zach called it, probably going to be gone before Carolina at number 9. And that's just everything that I've seen now. There are a few teams ahead of us that need quarterbacks, and me and Tony disagree on this all the time. But I'm not convinced that Seattle's going to bring back Geno Smith, so they could draft a quarterback. You got the Raiders, you got Houston, and you got Indianapolis. So that's 4 teams. And if the Falcons aren't sold on Desmond Ritter, they could be in the mix to draft a quarterback too. But going back to what I was saying, and if Hendon Hooker hadn't been injured, one more quarterback um, in the mix, may help us out. Maybe we wouldn't have to trade up so far because you got to think in the same mindset that now if Hendon Hooker was still available at number 9 and he wasn't hurt, he went to the combine and he went out, did his thing, and draft night came and he was there at number 9, I'd take him in a heartbeat. Wouldn't be no
Mm.
question. But we kind of fall into the same conundrum that if he was available and not hurt, he would probably go above Levis and Anderson. But one more
Richardson, you mean?
quarterback in, yeah, I'm sorry, Richardson and
Right.
Levis.
Right.
But one more quarterback in the mix, maybe we wouldn't have to trade up so high, to get him. But
Right. That's true.
now you said about Josh Heupel's offense. I'm always the one that says coaching, your scheme, all that matters.
It
Okay,
does.
you can put I mean you can put an F1 car, you know, fastest thing in the world, but hell, it ain't gonna do shit at the dirt track. You get what I'm saying? So
Right.
I mean, in Virginia Tech, he was, it was like he was an F1 car at the dirt track. He was spinning his wheels. He gets to Tennessee, he gets with the right coach, who puts him in the right situations with the right scheme that suits his abilities. And look what happened. Okay, before he got hurt, he had 3,100 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Okay. And with this coaching staff, the amount of experience that we have assembled, you got Frank Wright, okay, quarterback, coached a lot of good quarterbacks, Jim Caldwell, senior offensive assistant, Josh McCown, Thomas Brown's offensive coordinator. I think if he came, if he was to come here, we could put him in the right situation to be successful. My only not a knock on him, but he's 25 years old, and just say we get him on a rookie deal, and we
Right.
mentioned this one time before. Hell, if he flames out, we only got him for the rookie deal. But like
Right.
I said, all of this is me looking at it if he didn't get hurt. We don't live in a perfect
Right.
world, and this is where we at. But if he
Right.
fell to the second or third round, I wouldn't have no issue with picking him up.
Oh no, most definitely, and that's where I'm with. That's where I'm at with it. Like even with
Mm-hmm.
that first, second round pick at pick 39 that we have,
Yeah.
I would take him there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So that's my only thing with it. And like I said, in my opinion, the way I've always valued players, especially in the top 10, right? If you go
Mm-hmm.
back and you look at the past 5 years of Carolina history, Carolina has not picked out of the top 10 in the past 4 or 5 years. And each one of those years, we selected a day one starter.
Yeah.
Last year, J.C. Horn. This past year, Ika
Icky.
Mequano. Before
Derek Brown.
J.C. Horn, we selected Derek Brown. Before
Mm-hmm.
Derek Brown, we had Brian Burns.
Mm-hmm.
And before Brian Burns, who did we take? I can't remember, but
Yeah, me
you
neither.
you get yeah you I mean, but you get what I'm saying though. We talking about all
Mm-hmm.
these picks were within the top 10 picks. Those were plug and play players, guys
Mm-hmm.
that you knew when you drafted them. There was no question, with regards to what anybody else said. You know they were going to be starting for you for day one. So when you
Mm-hmm.
talk about the quarterback position, you kind of have to you hold that position in high, in a much higher esteem, because one, that is the franchise of the quarterback. I mean, franchise quarterback, and two, that's someone that's going to touch the ball every offensive snap for you, no matter
Mm-hmm.
whether no matter if you run 50 plays or 80 plays. That quarterback is going to be responsible of touching that ball for each and every play. So you have to know for sure
Mm-hmm.
that whoever you draft at quarterback in the top 10 pick, you have to be, in my opinion, you have to be at least 75, 80% sure that this guy is better than whatever you have currently on the roster, and he has a great potential of being a starter for you in that first year, whether it's day one or game 3 or game 10.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I value the quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I agree with you to a certain extent, but nothing is ever a guarantee. You know, I don't care who it is. I really don't. You got people that have come out and they've been deemed generational talents, day one starters. It's plug and play, it's simple, and they've been total bust. Okay,
True, that's true.
you have talented players, like I said. You know, a damn Formula One car gets sent to the dirt track, and can't do nothing.
Right.
So nothing is ever guaranteed. Okay, but I don't think that with the coaching staff that we have, I to me it's not that big of a stretch to say that Hendon Hooker, if healthy, couldn't be ready to go day one, because you're taking a risk with any rookie quarterback coming out of the draft. So
But how big of the risk? That's the thing. Like you, and you're correct. You're taking a
mm-hmm,
risk with any of these quarterbacks. I don't care if it's Bryce Young, C.J.
mm-hmm,
Stroud, whoever it is. But how big of a risk is that risk? 20%? Is it 50%? Is it 70%? That, like, where on that risk scale does each quarterback fall? I would rather
that's up to
take.
the coaches.
I'm right. So I mean,
Yeah.
but if you were to ask me right now,
Mm-hmm,
out of the current quarterbacks that's coming out of the draft this year, the
mm-hmm,
only ones, in my opinion, that are proven against top notch talent is Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. Those two are the only two, in my opinion, that
mm-hmm.
gives you an opportunity to be day one starters. Everyone else is like up in the air. So it's like you're gambling at that point.
Well, I mean,
It's
didn't Tennessee and Hendon Hooker beat Alabama and C.J. Stroud this year? I'm sorry, and Bryce Young. Didn't they
okay. So,
beat a top talented Alabama team?
but was that Bryce Young fault? No, it wasn't. That was Hendon Hooker putting up damn near 50 points on Alabama defense. Bryce Young don't play defense. He
I
put
understand that, but
those same points.
you
No,
just
I
said
didn't.
about putting up numbers against talent. Okay,
But
Alabama
you
is
made
year
it.
after year the
You
most
made a
talented team in the
comparison.
country.
They wasn't that talented this year. They didn't make the college football playoffs.
Oh, goodness
I mean, and we talking about Alabama. If we
gracious.
gonna compare Alabama against Alabama, this year was probably one of the worst years they've had in the past 10 or 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, honestly, when have you ever seen the Alabama defense give up the amount of points that Alabama gave up this year? And not only on top of that, they had no NFL caliber receivers for Bryce Young this year. That's another reason why I'm really impressed with him. He didn't have a Devontae Smith or a Jalen Waddle or anyone of that caliber that he was throwing to this year. no
Mm,
one that he was throwing the ball to is a first, second, or even a third round talent. But he
okay.
still got it done for him. I mean, he still put up numbers. You know that's all I'm saying.
Okay, but going back to what you said, then they should have made the playoffs.
No, Bryce Young plays offense, not defense.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is though, you can't you can't knock Hendon Hooker for what he did this year. Okay, he got
I'm
hurt.
not.
He was
I'm not.
having an excellent season. And you were saying,
Yes.
you feel like
Yes.
Young and Stroud are the only ones who are NFL ready, who have done that against the top teams in the country. I mean, if last I checked, Tennessee still plays in the SEC, right
Yes.
alongside Alabama. So
Yes, they do.
that that
Yes,
that,
they do.
that that's all I'm saying. It's not like Hendon Hooker put up 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in the Big Sky Conference or something. Or he did in the what is it, the what is it, the other one, the Big South or something like that. It's not like
Yeah.
he was out there balling out against
Conference
Coastal
USA.
Carolina. Yeah, but yeah,
Right. I mean,
but yeah,
I
but
get it. I get it. I get it. Like I said, I just go back and I look at what Henry Hooker was before he got to Tennessee, and you would like to think that people game can change night and day. A lot of it can be about the scheme that they were playing in. Like I said,
mm-hmm,
I'm not gonna try to knock Josh Hyper scheme. That's you do or you run what you feel is going to get you wins.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm,
that scheme, what does that translate into the NFL? Well, we've seen a lot of teams, a lot of good quarterbacks. Bailey Zappi is another quarterback last
mm-hmm,
year at Western Kentucky, put up crazy numbers. I mean,
mm-hmm,
just throwing the ball all over the yard.
mm-hmm,
But what did that do for Bailey Zappi? That didn't make him a first round talent when he led the
mm-hmm.
NCAA in touchdowns and yards last year.
Yeah. What
That
conference is
didn't.
Western Kentucky playing?
But hell, I don't know. I forgot.
Okay then. All right. Well,
well,
that's all I'm saying.
well, I
Who
still
could put
stand
up
on
the
what I
numbers
said.
in the biggest of the big dogs in the Power Five when it comes to football. So,
Well, you asked me what I think, so there it is, and I stand on that.
all right, cool. Well, I'll stand on top of you, and we'll be done with this.
Okay.
Oh, let me stop. But yeah, but it would be interesting, to
It
have
would.
Hendon Hooker here.
It
I think
would.
it would, and like I
It would.
said, I do believe that we have the right coaching staff to put him in a position to succeed. And like I say, in the perfect world, he could probably come in and be a starter for us. But he's hurt. He probably won't be ready to go for before the start of the season. But if they still were to be able to pick him up, say in the second or third round, and give him a year to get acquainted, get healthy, and come back the following season, hey, it's anything's possible. So,
One quick. I got one question for you before we go.
mhm.
Do you think Hendon Hooker is a better quarterback than Matt Corral?
Mm,
Right now, as it currently stands, neither one of them has played an NFL game, thrown an NFL pass, and all we have
mhm.
to go off of is what they did their last year.
Yeah.
If they were
If we
both
go by
coming
what
out,
they did they last year, yeah, I think
you
Hendon's
think
better.
okay,
If we just going by their last year, yes, I think Hendon's better.
okay, all
Yeah.
right. But there you
Mm-mm.
have it, ladies and gentlemen.
There you have it. And that's going to do it for this episode of What If Wednesday. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you know when our videos come out. Comment, let us know what you think. Give us some more ideas for future episodes. And as always, Panther Nation, keep pounding.